Welcome to my weekly review on how to be better than you were last week. And I'm going to look at my own week and see what went well, what didn't go well, ask ourselves some important questions, and then figure out the stuff that went well, let's do more of that next week. The stuff that didn't go well, let's try and figure out to improve it or do less of it or outsource it and get somebody else to just help us with the thing. So, welcome to how to be better next week. There's a few things that we can do to make next week better, and I'll run through an agenda. This is what I'm going to look at, not just for you, but for me, and we'll go through it together. And the first thing I want to know is, where are you joining from? If this is a journey that we're on together, where in the world are you right now whilst watching this? And I'll go through the comments throughout the whole presentation to just check in with some questions. If you're watching this live, then great, we can have an interactive session. If not, then I hope the follow along allows you to evaluate and assess, actually, how was last week? How can I make next week even better? All right, so the agenda is we'll do a check-in, and I do this with myself. I've done it with my team for a while. There's 3 questions, and we look at the past, present, and future. So we'll do a check-in. We'll look at stress levels. Where's your stress level at? And actually what's causing the stress levels to be higher or lower than a particular gauge. We'll look at that gauge. What's on your mind, and see what's taking up mental capacity and your thinking power. Trying to do it all. I'll talk a bit honestly about what I've tried to do, how much I've tried to do, and manage that all. And there's a few questions that you might be able to help me with. Gratitude. After going through that first half, actually, being grateful for some stuff that we have just keeps our feet on the ground and helps us realize actually there's stuff around us that we can all appreciate. So reminding ourselves of that is wise and helpful. Reflecting and refocusing. So looking at a few categories of actually where have I spent my time, where have I not spent my time, and is that where I want to be spending my time and doing the things that, like, habit wise, if I replicated what happened last week for the next 52 weeks, would I get closer to or further away from my ideal life, a better life, happier life, my goals, and reflecting on that, and then using this checkpoint in our week. Sunday evening's a beautiful time heading into Monday morning before the week starts to figure out what am I focusing on in the next 7 days. And then we'll look at the next week goals. We'll literally write down or think about what we want to do in the next week, as big or small as you're willing to commit yourself to, using the SMART goal framework. I've talked about it in another YouTube video, but I'll share it and share my own goals towards the end. I'll look at the comments right before ending the stream and see if there's any unanswered questions, and then thank you for joining me. So let's go straight into it. All right, so check-in wise, there's 3 questions that I ask myself and I want you to answer. Before doing that, I'm going to see in the comments if anyone's mentioned where they're joining from. So nothing at the moment, so I'm going to keep going. If you join, as you join, please let me know where you're joining from. But in terms of the check-in questions, the 3 things I ask are, what's one thing that you've achieved in the last week? That's the past. How are you feeling? That's the present, that's now. And what's one thing you're looking forward to next week? That's the future. And I'll bring that up now whilst I answer that. So, checking questions. What's one thing that I've achieved in the last week? I don't want to use this live stream as an achievement because it falls on Sunday evening and I'm doing it. But in my garden, I've got planters and they've been a bit worse for wear. So I managed to get all the compost out, the old compost, put new tarpaulin in there so it's a bit cleaner, put new compost in there, and they're looking fresh. I need to put flowers in there, but I've done the planters and they're looking nice and fresh for June. So that's an achievement, personal achievement in the last week. How am I feeling? I'm tired and parenting. I've had a busy weekend with the kids. Took them to IKEA on Saturday, took them out today, and just a weekend for the kids. As much as I appreciate the time with them, it's been a lot, you know. I've had to practice patience and just I got a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old. I'm not expecting perfect kids, but their behavior is not where I want it to be, and that's challenging. But that's a challenge, right? So I've got a 6-month-old too, but he don't speak, and he's easy. It's either milk, poo, or sleep, and those three needs, plus a little bit of playtime and some smiles, is easy. It's the older two, they were challenging, so I'm feeling pretty tired. I'm looking forward to them going to school as much as that time with them is beautiful and challenging. Tomorrow I can have a productive day to myself because the kids allow me to have mental thoughts. But I can basically mentally focus when they're not around. They're not asking loads of questions, and their needs are catered for by school, so that helps. And one thing I'm looking forward to this week. Ooh, it's a good question I'm asking myself. All right, let me think. So went to IKEA on Saturday. I'm looking forward to putting together the flat pack stuff, and I recently done some bits in my son's room. I made him a loft bed to create some space on the floor, so he can play in there. And I bought some bits to have some storage and functionality in the floor space. So I'm looking forward to building those flat pack furniture IKEA bits. I'm interested to know if you have something that you've achieved, something how you're feeling now, and something that you're looking forward to. Really important to give you those three perspectives. And I always love to look back, as big or small as the achievement is, just something to actually remind yourself and be proud of something. How you feeling now, to just acknowledge actually how am I feeling and what's causing that, and then something to pull you towards a positive future, right? What's one thing that is exciting that's going to happen again, or as big as or small as you wish, but that reward, that exciting thing that you can actually be like, oh yeah, do you know what? I can't wait till that thing happens, and that reflection point is what I like to share and hear from other people. So nothing in the comments yet, but I'm gonna still keep going because that's me and that's my week. So I'm actually gonna note that down. And this is something that I like to do on as regular basis as possible, especially the looking forward to. If I'm speaking to anyone and I get that from them, when I next speak to them, all right, did you like, how was the thing? That's a conversational communicator, especially if we have ongoing relationships. So, planter, tired, due to kids. And then the last one is flat pack IKEA. I asked initially where you're joining from. I'm based in Birmingham, England, UK. So that's me. If anyone does want to share in the comments where they're joining from, then I'd love to hear. Right. Now that we've checked in, I want to acknowledge, all right, where's your stress level at? On a number gauge from 1 to 10, so 1 being not stressed at all or minimally, can even go down to 0, but I like to actually put it on a 1 to 10 scale, and 10 being I'm fully stressed. Where would you gauge that? Mine would be, I'd say, between 7 and 8. And it is purely because my 7-year-old, my daughter, she is mentally challenging in terms of she asks a lot, she has a lot of needs, and when me and my wife ask her to do things, she gives us pushback and challenges and sass. The sass is kicking in, and it's not a, if I ask you to do something, you're doing it straight away. You're giving me a conversational two-way, and we can converse about it. But some of the simple things that I just need to get done within a short conversation turns into a longer lecture. And if every conversation turns into a long lecture, it's mentally draining. So that's increased my stress levels, which I think for me, healthy is about 3, 4, because I deal with stress well. That little bit of pressure makes me feel like actually I need to keep moving, and I like to be productive, and stress is healthy in that sense. But that's pushed me up to maybe a 5, 6. My son, who's 4, is physically challenging. I went to IKEA on Saturday and he was just running away, and he's very active. He likes to jump on me and fight, and he's very physical and active. We've got a trampoline, so he's always out jumping about, and that whilst he's home on the weekend and we're trying to do stuff like shop and just go out and function and trying to keep the house tidy, it's not easy. And I feel like, okay, he's not going to be perfect, right? But I don't know, maybe my expectations of the kids at this age was that they'd be um, less stressful. And if you feel it, then that's share the pain. It's 7 or 8, and um, that's why in a bit within the agenda I threw in gratitude, because it's very important to appreciate that, as well as realistically talk about actually how tough it is. So my stress levels are 7 or 8. Mondays and Tuesdays are calmer because both of them are in school, preschool, and that start of the week, as much as there's stuff going on, because it's just me and majority of my calendar I'm in control of, I'm allowed to be a bit more flexible with my time. I can control my time a bit more, and my stress levels hopefully will reduce a bit. But my stress levels are about 7 or 8. The cause of that is parenting on a Sunday evening. What can I do to reduce that? I could just be more patient with the children and share with them and just teach them more. And as they grow, that will reduce. And as they become more independent and older, they'll need me less. They will hopefully stress me out less. Let's see. But ultimately, that's the challenge of parenting. So I'm at about 7 or 8. Healthy for me is about 3 or 4. So I'm interested to do a few things over the next few days which reduce that. And actually on Tuesday, I've got something really nice to look forward to, which is a social thing for me. And that is something that fuels my tank and will reduce my stress. So I hope it does anyway. But yeah, okay. That's stress levels. Acknowledge your stress on that scale. Think about what's causing it, and then what things you enjoy and what things you can do to lower that scale. Actually, are you on a healthy point of that scale? But that numerical value is important to know. Okay, are you higher than you expected to be, want to be? Are you lower than you want to be? And actually, that's a great point. Or are there things that are causing you stress that you might be able to remove from next week? I don't want to remove time with my kids. I just want to be able to handle that better. And maybe there's some more mindfulness and some coping mechanisms that I can look at. So that's my own personal stress barometer. So I'm going to put 7/8. I'm going to put what I can do is coping mechanisms to remain calm and practice patience. If you've seen that light go off, that is my side light, my front lighting. So excuse that. I've run out of battery on the external battery. I'm going to keep going. All right. So next on the agenda is what's on your mind. In the last 5 days, what have you been thinking about the most? What's taking up the most of your mental energy? And I'll be honest, it's, for me, live streaming. I've messed with and I've tried a lot of things to help me get better at engaging with the well-being, mental health, men's mental health community, and gaining traction and finding the best platform and medium to share the life coaching and psychology tools that I have been. And live streaming is something that I lasted 9 months ago. I've wanted to do more regularly. And for the last week, I've sort of put these slides together, thought about how I want it to come across and what I can then reflect on myself. And that's been taking up a lot of mental energy. So in me on Sunday evening doing this, I want to look back on it and watch it to see actually did it go better than my last live stream, which I hope it did. And the self-reflective exercise in itself is useful for me and hopefully for you too. And then finally, I'm trying to think about, can I do this more consistently, more regularly, more sustainably? Because that consistency is what will help me grow in one platform or another, in one way or another. And I don't know what that is at the moment. So that's what's been on my mind. And I want you to ask yourself and put in the comments, what have you been thinking about the most in the last 5 days? If you can do something to reduce that mental energy and what you've been thinking about, or just feel like you're on top of that particular thing, that can help you feel a bit better about whatever that might be. So me actually doing this live stream, I feel better already for actually just getting online and just biting the bullet, eating the frog, doing the thing. Now, I've mentioned that I've got loads of coaching platforms and I've tried lots of different things. So this is it. One-to-one coaching is my best source of help because it allows me to find that individual's particular needs. But that's one method. YouTube videos. So if you're watching this, you'll see the live stream. There's other videos that I've been putting together, and I love the YouTube videos. There's an editing element of that which I've learned and got better with, and I love the editing, especially when it comes to the end of editing, and I've got to a point where I'm happy to post the video. The editing process I've learned a lot of things about. So that's a platform that, as much as is great, the shift to live streams is actually one take. There's no editing, and it's genuine. Like if I make a mistake, I make a mistake. It's just rolling with it. So I wanted to see if I can roll with it and still have it smooth enough so that people can engage, and if that works. So there's the live streams, my life coaching website. So I am lifecoachrav.com is where you can find some bits and book a coaching call, some sessions, and actually I've got some packages on there. That's a platform. I've got an app, so actually it's a web-based app at the moment. It's lifecoachrav.com, so removing the I am piece, and I'm in the process of building it, turning it into an app, and I want to see if that works. Am I putting energy into an app that actually might not be the right way that people are engaging? Let me know. I want to know, based on this, I had a question that I was going to ask, which is, what platform or medium would work best for you out of these? And if there's not one, or like, what would be your top three, if you can rank them top 1, 2, 3 out of these platforms? So you've got the app, I've got WhatsApp, so people can directly message me on a business line. I've got printables, free printables on my website. I've got some sellable ones on Etsy, and I've put small snippets in terms of on posts on Instagram, and links to workbooks and toolkits. If you DM me a certain post that link to some printables, is that something that works for people? Wellbeing tools. Now, I haven't fully got these products available, and that's just purely on investment basis, right? I've got a young family, and trying to invest in products is something that I would love to get to. But the journal, just notebook, stress balls, links to the wellbeing stuff, and a sort of stress ball to part with, I suppose, and a board game. So it's like a family board game, or even an individual one to help you reflect, but actually do it in a more fun, engaging way. So there's a few wellbeing tools that I've worked on, and I hope to have as products alongside what I'm doing. Is that something that might be a better platform for you to improve your well-being, engage with what I'm doing here? I did a men's mental health meetup in a local pub last week, was it? Last Tuesday. It's Tuesday the 26th of May. Yeah, Tuesday 26th of May. So you might have, last Tuesday. The pub's maybe not the best environment for that, so I'm looking to change the venue. The meetup was okay, but actually in engaging in that space, I found that actually people coming face to face, although it was free, although I advertised and put social media posts about it, didn't get as many people that I was hoping to get. Maybe it was just the first one and I need to do more. But again, if that's a platform that would work for you in the local community in Birmingham or where you are, and there's maybe opportunities for that, then let me know. And then finally, I'm doing all this because I have a commitment to people, right? I just want to help people with their mental health, their well-being, and my experiences lived as a man, right? And I'm specifically talking in terms of dads. That's my niche, if you will. I'm a dad of 3 kids, working, trying to gym it, trying to put content out there, trying to keep the house tidy, spend time with the missus, spend time to myself on personal development, spend time and be present with my kids, and balancing, juggling all that is tough. So I want to help other people with that, which also then helps me become better, because in sharing what will help others, I'm learning about tools that I use and that can help me. I want to focus my energy on the best platforms for you. So tell me what are the 3 top platforms out of all these that would work for you? And then I can put my energy there. That's really what I'm asking, because at the moment, I'm putting my energy in all different places. I haven't even put my socials on there. So I post on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts and Reels, even Facebook. I've got sort of the odd posting here to get to friends and family on my story. And YouTube is where I feel like I want to put my energy, but I don't have any premise or basis on that other than the long form content seems to be a better way that I can share deeper insights into mental health, well-being, and that stuff. But I want to listen to you, so let me know. Okay, enough about the platforms. Next piece is gratitude. So this is something that we can go back and forth with, and I want you to put in the comments one thing that you are grateful for. I'll start and I'll share, and I'm just gonna, before I share what I'm grateful for, look at anything, any questions that have come through. So let me just see. Sorry, I'm just checking into the stream and making sure everything's running smooth. Yeah, bless. Okay. So one thing that I'm grateful for is time with my kids. As much as I was ranting earlier about how they've been this weekend, I am privileged and blessed to be in the position that I'm in to spend as much time as I do with the kids. I'm very lucky, actually. I spend more time with them than I ever have, and more time than the majority, if not pretty much all the dads and parents in my in my circle, and I'm blessed to have that. There is still that balance, right? If you spend all your time doing one thing, that gets a lot. It gets much too much. So this weekend, it's got me to a point where actually I need a bit of a break, and the Monday, Tuesday whilst they're at school gives me that. So I'm at a sort of peak of the time with the kids, I suppose. But I'm very, very grateful for the time with the kids whilst they're young, whilst they're as influenceable as they are, and like before I know it, they'll be teenagers out the house and they won't want to spend time with me. And whilst they are at home, I want to spend as much time with them as I can as possible. My two guiding principles are time freedom and location freedom. So if I can work from anywhere, anytime I want, it doesn't mean I don't work. It just means I can choose when I work, how I work, and where I work from. Those are my guiding principles, because then I can work around the kids' timetables and spend time with them as I please, rather than being more susceptible to sort of other people's calendars and times. So that's one thing that I'm really working on, but I'm grateful for the time I've got with my kids. I'm live streaming now. Whilst I'm doing this, and whilst I'm the face of and the name and the brand of Life Coach Rav, there are people behind this who support me, and the one person that supports me the most is my wife. I'm massively grateful for everything she does. Before I started live streaming, it's Sunday night, and I have to prep dinners, lunches for the kids, and I was about to stream. I sort of got my water, did a sort of round of the house, and made sure everything's good to go before I sit down for a while. So I went into the kitchen, and Mrs. is like, okay, if you're going to stream, I'll make lunch for the kids. And I was like, look, after I stream, I'll do it. And she said, no, don't worry about it. I got it. You do your thing. And that's just one small example in the moment that she's supported me with to allow me to do this thing. And yeah, massively grateful. Tell her all the time offline more than I would on camera. And I wanted to just share that love publicly. But yeah, definitely grateful for that. And I'll leave it there. If anyone else is grateful for anything that they want to share, then yeah, I'll check in the comments later. But that is a really good exercise that you can do as an icebreaker, as a check-in, as a couple. And you can go back and forth. You can do, I'm grateful for, share one thing, somebody else can share what they're grateful for, and you can go back and forth until it dissipates and fizzles out. You can do one each. You can do, you can keep going. But yeah, the definitely two things I'm grateful for: time with my kids and the support I get from the missus to do this stuff. All right, I have another question, which is, where have you, based on this, put the most and least amount of time? I've done it in this format for the long form, but if you're watching this in short form, it will cut off my face, and some of the video has. And if it does, let me do it in this form. This will be better for everybody. Not everyone, but this will be better in regards to the format. Hopefully, the shorts, if it comes on your feed, gives it a better display. So, looking at that, I use this as a gauge of if you've got 50 points and you can put that in time, where have you spent the most and least time? So if I spent 10 points on my family, 10 points on giving back, 10 points on my health or going to the gym, then I've only got like 20 points left, which is spread across the other 6 or 7 sort of categories. Really, what you need to look at, and what I look at, is where have you spent the most time? Where have you spent the least time? And is that in line with where you want to be spending your time? I have in the last week spent the most time with family. That is exactly where I want to spend my time. I have spent the least time on my spirituality. I want to spend more time on my spirituality. So as we look through the goals piece, that's where I will most likely set a goal to actually spend more time on doing something spirituality. So actually visit the temple is a goal that I could have in the next week. Looking at those categories, if you've spent the least amount of time, let's say, on your health, is there one thing that you can do in the next week which would make it better by doing one more thing on your health next week than you did this week? Whether it's eating one more healthy meal, doing one more workout, or one workout, getting 10k steps for at least one out of the next 7 days. What is that thing? But looking at where you spent the least amount of time, can you do one more thing to spend a bit more time in that category? Or is that something that you don't really care about? If you spent no time on giving back, maybe you don't want to, and that's okay. So just have that sense check as well, that secondary question of, yeah, I've spent the least time in that area, but actually I'm cool with that. I don't need to change anything. And where you spent the most amount of time, that typically is where what gives you the most joy, or what you have as a biggest focus in your life. And again, if you want to spend less time doing the thing, if you spend lots of time at work and that's not in line with your lifestyle, if it's been a non-typical week and you've got a project due, then yeah, maybe there's that. But actually, if you need to reevaluate where you're spending your time, look at those two things. Where you're spending the most time, where you're spending the least time, is that in line with you? So I've spent the most time with family in the last week. I want to spend more time with family, probably a bit less actually, based on my weekend, but overall, that's healthy for me and I love that. I've spent the least amount of time with spirituality and just connecting with my spiritualness, whether that's mindfulness or religion, and well, that's for me anyway. And actually, the next week, I could probably do with a bit more engaging around my spiritual health. Cool. All right. So, what does that look like in terms of the next week for us? So, this is the SMART goal framework, typically used in a lot of business and corporate environments. If you type in SMART goals, you'll get this framework quite easily. It's on this side. So, SMART: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. The one goal that people typically miss when I do this with people is timely. People say, yeah, I want to get fit, I want to be rich, I want to do this, but by when? Put a deadline on it and be sort of specific around, if you want to be healthy, is it a weight goal? Is it a fitness goal? You want to run a certain distance in a certain time? Is it a size you want to be? Like, be specific about what that is and when you want it by. That frame, that shaping of, all right, I have to do this by then, allows you to work backwards and know if you're on track. Otherwise, it just is a thing that you want to do, and then you get to month, 3 months, a year from now, I'm like, oh yeah, I wanted the thing and I didn't really do the thing because it wasn't structured in that way. So, SMART framework, if you have a goal, it must meet all the criteria, all those 5 criteria. So specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. And my goal to share with you, and if you have a SMART goal, I would love you to share that in the comments based on what it is that you want to achieve in the next week. And it can be really big or really small, it doesn't matter the size of it. Try and make it for the next week. And at this time next week, let's check in. How did you get on? Did you do what you set out to do or set out as a goal? And you don't want to set yourself up for failure. So I'm going to set myself a goal of, in the next week, I'm going to go to the temple. I'm going to take the family, probably in the evening after school one day, come home, get changed, freshen up, and go to the temple. Just one day. And go to the mandir one day this week, at least. That's my. Is it specific? I would say so. Be clear and specific about what you want to achieve. So I want to get to the temple. That's specific. If I go there, even if it's for 1 minute and walk out, that I've achieved. Is it measurable? Can I measure if I went there or not? Yes. Is it achievable? One day out of the next 7? I think so. Is it realistic? Yep. And timely. By Sunday, I should have gone. So, Monday visit by Sunday, 15th June. Okay, and that's my SMART goal. And that's how I set up a specific goal. Very simple, very straightforward, and I'll put that in my calendar. I wrote it down, but after this, I will put it in my calendar, not just for Sunday, but I'll set a reminder 3 days before to say, in 3 days' time, this is due. So on Friday, it will say, actually on Sunday, this goal is due. So it gives me Friday evening, Saturday evening, and Sunday to do the thing before it's due. Otherwise, I'll get a reminder an hour before saying deadline for Sunday, and I'm like scrambling or haven't done the thing, and that becomes overdue. And setting reminders, getting it out of your head, whether it's putting it on paper, putting it in a calendar, getting reminders is key for me, and it's very important. It's proven if you write stuff down, you're about 40% more likely to do the thing. So it's 42%. If you write a goal down, you're 42% more likely to achieve it. So write it down is my advice. Okay, one final question that is really important, and it's not even, are you the best? Are you great? We are all great at a lot of things. We can all do things really, really well. And it's not about focusing on what we're bad at or what we need to change. It's even if I'm fantastic and really great at something or the best at something, this question invites us to stretch ourselves further than we are now, which is, how can I be better? How can you be better at anything that you want to do? What's been causing your stress? What's been on your mind the most? Where are your stress levels at, and where's your time been? What's causing that, and what then can you do to be better? What is a goal? What is an objective? And what is something that you can do in the next week to be a little bit better? It doesn't have to be massive, and it won't be. It shouldn't be. That means it's unrealistic and you're likely to fail. Just something small and something that's easy to tick, like, yeah, I did the thing, because 1 week goes by fast. And then if you do that 52 weeks from now, a year from now, if you keep being a little bit better each week, that compounds to massive growth. And then you're so much better at whatever it is you focused on, because you've simply checked in with yourself, thought, I want to spend time on this, done something in the next week to improve it, and that was it. It's simple. It's simple. It's not easy though. And I'll share with you this saying, so I hope you can finish this. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. So it's simple. But in the last 3 days, how many apples have you eaten? Have you eaten 3 apples? Yeah, forget that. In the last 3 days, have you eaten 1 apple? If so, you're doing great. If you haven't, you're still doing great. But it just shows that you might know the saying, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. And that's simple to do. If I asked you now to eat an apple, I'm sure you could do it. But if in the last 3 days you haven't eaten one, that proves and that shows how hard it is. It's simple but not easy. And by making things simple and easy, and making a task just a goal, a small step each week, and breaking that chunking down into little habits over time, those habits build up into compounded actions. And a book by James Clear called Atomic Habits like talks about this fully structurally, and I love the book Atomic Habits because it basically talks about 1% gain a day is 37 times better than you were a year ago now. So this time next week, what are you hoping to achieve? How can you be better this time next week than you are now? My promise and commitment to myself on how I can be better is to be more patient with my kids. How I'm going to do that is by practicing mindfulness more actively and reading and spending conscious effort on learning on coping mechanisms on how I can stay calmer. Not just mindfulness, but actually practicing patience. And um, I'll share that in a future video on certain things that I've learned to be calmer and more patient as a parent. And that's a continuous journey. So I won't have mastered it, but I'll hopefully have learned something that I can use the next time I feel more stressed out and the kids are doing my head in. How can you be better? If you can ask yourself that question, that's powerful enough to open your world up into improving who you are and growing into a better version of where you're at. On that basis, that's thank you. I wanted to, at that point, review the agenda. So let's look at the agenda here. So we checked in, past, present, future. One thing you've achieved, as big or as small as you want to share, but actually, what's one thing that from the last week you've achieved? How are you feeling now? Honestly, just check that in. One thing that you're looking forward to and you can get excited about in the next week. Where's your stress level at? We looked at that on a 1 to 10 basis and rated ourselves and looked at, all right, okay, this is where I'm at. Is it where I want to be? What's on your mind? So what in the last 5 days, last 7 days, have you been thinking about the most? Where's your mental energy going? Is it channeling in the right place? And if not, you might need to shift direction to get it going in the right place where you want. Trying to do all. That was me actually breaking down all the platforms, all the mediums where I'm sharing mental health and well-being tools. Is that I'm spreading myself too thin. I want to narrow that down, but to help me, let me know, please, the top 3 platforms and methods that you would like to engage in, and I will double down on those. Gratitude, sharing and reminding yourself of things that you're grateful for. Great way to just actually realize that we've got a lot going for us. The world is a beautiful, powerful, positive space, and gratitude is a way of acknowledging and reminding ourselves of that. That reflection, looking at where you spend the most and least time, and refocusing on, is your time spent where you want it to be? Do you need to recalibrate where you're spending your time based on those 10 categories, which I'll pull up here again. Family, fun, giving back, health, home, personal development, spirituality, wealth, work, and relationship. So those 10 things are what make up my life, what make up most people's lives, based on the wheel of life that I've spent 10 years plus developing, working on, honing, tweaking, and improving. And then next week goals, looking at the SMART goal framework, and actually in the next 7 days, what it is that you want to do, in asking yourself, how can you be better? How can we be better together? I'll check the comment section and see if there's any questions. Nope, nothing, just me, just my own self-reflections. Thank you. Hope this has helped. Hope this helps you see that you've had a great week, feel and acknowledge where you're at, and have a better week. I'm Life Coach Rav. As always, peace out. Bless.